My name is Mary Wiesner. I was born in Budapest and lived there until 1976. After the war, freedom returned and everyday life resumed. Political parties were formed, there were free elections, and I started primary school. At school, all religions were taught freely. One day, my grandmother was called in by the headmistress, who asked if she wanted me to continue attending religious classes. Everyone was puzzled. Why did she ask such a thing? She said that from then on, it would be optional. She talked and talked, and my grandmother, who was very naive, did not realize that she should have said no. There were 30 pupils in our class, and 28 voted in favor of religious education classes. When we went back to school after the summer holidays in September, all the religious education teachers had disappeared. Nobody said anything. That was it, no more religious education at school. I think it was in 1948 when elections were organized and the Communist Party, which had never been strong in Hungary, seemed set to win. People talked about disappearances. In fact, all the political leaders from the other parties were accused of arranging people's disappearances, and they were brought to justice based on false allegations. My father was a member of the Social Democrat Party. He disappeared from home, and because I was a child, no one told me why. One morning, I arrived at school, and I saw an envelope with my father's name on it, and a long number. Next to it was written, prisoner number. That's how I learned that my father was in jail in the city of Vas. And I later learnt that he had been sentenced to 3.5 years of prison for sabotage, of which he was innocent. Since he was a high-ranking member of the Social Democratic Party, and all the parties had been crushed, he served 3.5 years in prison, although he had done nothing. At that time, there was no leave, no early release, nothing. He had to serve his 3.5 years. When he was sentenced, people came to my grandmother's house and said, "You should be happy that there was a sentence, because there's hope that he will be released." For some people, there is no verdict, and people disappear without anyone knowing anything about it, or seeing them ever again. Everything was done in an underhanded way, always behind your back, with lies and everything. Nothing was ever said to your face, and this was the vilest injustice. I got my passport in 1976, and it already looked like a European passport. Although in the middle, it said on one page, valid for 30 days. Anyway, the Hungarian authorities thought I was going abroad for 4 weeks, but I knew I would not come back. It was summertime, and I knew that at Budapest airport they could open your luggage, so I only packed summer dresses and nothing else. So I arrived at the airport. There were a lot of checks, passports, passengers, We went through our luggage, and they asked me to open my suitcase. I opened it, and there was nothing but light summer dresses. It didn't look suspicious, and they let me go. I said to myself, if the plane is not hijacked, I will make it to Paris. I worked for the Hungarian Foreign Trade Bank. With my 30-day passport, I had officially come here on holiday, but knew I would not go back. So at work, there, after 30 days, they were waiting for me, and as they didn't see me, everybody realized that I had crossed over to the West. A lawsuit was filed against me at the City Hall of the 14th District, where I lived. And then my father sent me the document stating, refusal to return to her country. How absurd! Refusal to return to her country. Well, I was like a bird in a cage. And I was sentenced to 8 months in prison. Seizure of my possessions and deprivation of my political rights. So what did it actually mean? So what did it actually mean? Seizure of my possessions. I did not own anything. I lived with my 90-year-old grandmother in a small rented flat. So the police raided the place to take what I had. That's really as ridiculous and malicious as it gets. And deprivation of my political rights? What kind of rights did we have anyway? The right to vote for the only existing political party? Unbelievable. A lot of French citizens were surprised and almost suspicious when listening to my accounts, as if I was making it up. Comme si moi, je racontais des histoires. The propaganda from Eastern countries was so effective that many French people thought that these countries enjoyed freedom, justice, etc. It was only after quite a number of years that the reality started to emerge. At the bank where I worked, my French colleagues were very nice to me. I was on good terms with them. I could speak French, although the speed at which people spoke was an issue. A young colleague asked me once, in complete innocence, like a child, if you hate this regime so much, why did you vote for them? I replied, come on, there is one single party, no political life. What vote are you talking about? We have no rights and we cannot change anything. But in his innocence, he could not imagine what life under a dictatorship was like. The other people who didn't want to believe me and looked at me suspiciously, wondering what on earth I was talking about. It's because they had heard things or read the press here, which was riddled with Eastern propaganda, and they were naive, stupidly or blissfully ignorant, or both. They thought citizens of these countries enjoyed freedom and equality. I was annoyed because it contradicted my idea of justice. They didn't want to face the reality of these countries. Some people really thought there were free elections and that a single party, the Communist Party, had won 90% of the vote. I said to them, you're hurting my feelings. Do you not consider us Hungarians, Czechs, and Poles as human beings with convictions, ideas, and principles? Do you think we're just sheep? Is that what you're saying? Sheep like in Algeria nowadays where there's a 90% majority? But who believes this? Just think. It's impossible. People are not sheep. Who believes this? Why?